But even though Ahab didn't believe in God, he was still a little scared. And Jehoshaphat probably didn't want to go at all. But he gave his word. He said that he would fight with Ahab. But Ahab said, I got an idea. I'm going to survive this battle. Here's what we're going to do. When we go out, I will disguise myself as a soldier. I'll take off my kingly robes and my crown, and I will disguise myself as a soldier. I'll put on just regular soldier clothes. You stay out there with your kingly robes, but I'll just disguise myself as a soldier so they won't come and attack me. Real nice, huh? Yeah, Ahab was letting Jehoshaphat go out into battle dressed as a king, but Ahab's going to hide with his men. And Jehoshaphat probably thought this was a bad idea, but he did promise to go out and fight with Ahab, so he kept his word. On the day that they were supposed to go out into battle, Jehoshaphat was out there in his kingly robes, but Ahab was dressed like a soldier with all the other soldiers. And they got ready to go into battle. But before they went to fight, the king of Syria said, listen to me, I don't want to fight with Ahab and Jehoshaphat. It'll take too long and too many people will die. Here's what I want you to do, soldiers. Fight with nobody except Ahab. Find Ahab and kill him. Leave everybody else alone. And so, the soldiers went out to try to find King Ahab. And they met the soldiers of Israel and Judah. And it must have been a kind of a boring fight if the armies of Syria weren't fighting. And probably the armies of Israel and Judah were going, what are these guys doing? We're right next to each other. They're not fighting us. But then the Syrians said, there's King Ahab, the guy dressed like a king. Go get him. Was that King Ahab? No, it wasn't. It was Jehoshaphat. But as the soldiers came up to attack Jehoshaphat, Jehoshaphat said, God, help me. Jehoshaphat may not have been obeying God by fighting with Israel, but he still was one of God's followers. So as the armies of Syria came close, God let them to see that was Jehoshaphat. They said, wait a minute, that wasn't Ahab. They said, wait a minute, that's not Ahab. Back away, we're not supposed to fight him, that's somebody else. Don't fight him, you're just supposed to find Ahab. And they left him alone. So God was good to Jehoshaphat there. But as the soldiers kept looking, they couldn't find Ahab anywhere. No matter what they did, they couldn't find him. And one of the soldiers of Syria got bored. He said, this is a really boring fight. I'm looking everywhere for Ahab. We can't find him. We can't fight with the armies of Israel. You know what? I'm sick of this. I came here to fight. I'm going to kill somebody. And he pulled out his bow and arrow. And he pulled back that arrow and he fired it at the Israelites. It hit one man. Guess who it hit? Yep, it hit Ahab. The one arrow that was fired in the entire battle, and it hit Ahab. And Ahab said, I'm hit! I'm wounded! Get me out of here! He jumped in his chariot, and his drivers got the horses going, running faster and faster and faster away from the battle. And the people of Israel saw Ahab running away, and they said, Ahab's running away! Run away, everybody, run away! And they all ran away. And the Syrians won. And they tried to get Ahab back to his palace to get him to a doctor. But guess what happened? Guess what happened? Yep. Ahab said, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. And as it got closer to his path, it got weaker and weaker until Ahab keeled over and he died. He died, and his blood poured out of his body all over the chariot. He got blood everywhere. They came and they took Ahab. They brought him back to the palace to get him ready to bury him. And the soldiers went down to the river and took some water and washed the chariot out. And as the blood and the water ran out of the chariot, guess what happened? The dogs came and licked up Ahab's blood. The same place that they come and licked up Naboth's blood, they came and licked up Ahab's blood. Ahab is now dead. And his son, Ahaziah, is now king. Will he be a good king or a bad king? Well, we'll have to find out later. We're going to have to stop for now. Okay, so what's something we can learn from the story? Well, I think the thing we can learn is not to be stubborn. Not to be stubborn. Ahab said, I'm going to go out and fight, and I don't care what anybody thinks. Even though God told me not to go, I want to go fight. And so I'm going to go fight. Ahab was told what he was doing was wrong, and he didn't listen. And he died about it. He died because of it. Do you like being told that what you're doing is wrong? Of course you don't. Nobody likes that. But it's all something that we have to put up with sometimes. When we do what's wrong, people come up and tell us, hey, what you're doing is wrong. And we could say, I don't want to hear you, la 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 la. Or we can say, you're right. I did what was wrong. I need to stop doing it and do what's right instead. Ahab didn't learn that, and he died. So when someone comes up and telling you that you're doing what's wrong, you could say, don't tell me that. I don't have to listen to you. You're not my mom, even if it is your mom. Or you can say, you're right. I did what was wrong. I'm going to stop doing what I want to do and start doing what God wants me to do. Okay, that's what God wants all of us to do. Because God wants what's best for us. And by following God, by doing what He tells us to do, instead of stubbornly doing what we want to do, God will look out for us. He looked out for Jehoshaphat, right? Yes, He can look out for us too. All right, our verse for this week is a follow-up to an earlier one about the ants. In Proverbs 6:6, Solomon writes this. He says, look at the ants and see how well they work. And then he follows it up in Proverbs 6, 7, and 8 by saying, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer, and gathereth her food in the harvest. The ant works because it knows that there will come a time when it can't find food. So it plans for the future. We need to do the same thing. And in Spanish, Proverbios 6, 7 y 8, la cual no teniendo capitán, ni gobernador, ni señor, prepara en el verano su comida y recoge en el tiempo de la siega su mantenimiento. Proverbios 6, 7 y 8. Okay. That was a longer story than usual. It makes you feel any better. Tomorrow's will be very short. So why don't we stop this now and go on to our math.